The Turbo Levo and Turbo Levo SL are two sides of the same Class 1 eMTB coin. They both have 150 millimeters of travel, they are both made by Specialized, FSR linkage systems, incredible specs, but that doesn't change the fact that a lot of riders will turn their nose up to the Turbo Levo SL because of the fact that it has a weaker motor and a smaller battery. But maybe we're treating the Turbo Levo SL a little bit too harshly. I mean, I also have been told that I'm underpowered, that I'm a lightweight, and that I have too small of a
motor.
Right, motor. So today we're gonna compare the Specialized Turbo Levo and the Specialized Turbo Levo SL side by side to answer the age-old question, are they really that different? So we're gonna put both of these bikes through a couple tests to see if they are terribly different. But in case you haven't seen the specs on the Turbo Levo and the Turbo Levo SL, specifically within the motor, that's where the main difference is. Let's talk about it a little bit. So starting with that motor, on the Specialized Turbo Levo, you're gonna have the Bros S Mag with 90 Newton meters of torque and 250 watts nominal. It's supposed to max out at about 560 watts. It's a Class 1 eMTB motor, just like the other one, and the motor weighs in right at 6.4 pounds or 2.9 kilograms. The Specialized Turbo Levo SL comes with a Specialized 1.1 custom motor. That's a Class 1 motor as well, with 240 peak watts and 35 Newton meters of torque. That motor weighs 4.3 pounds or 1.9 kilograms. So with that information, you might immediately be thinking that that power difference is too vast and you have to go with the Specialized Turbo Levo. But I need you to calm down. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Let's look at the battery life. The Specialized Turbo Levo is going to come either with a 500 watt-hour battery or a 700 watt-hour battery, whereas the Specialized Turbo Levo SL is going to come with a 320 watt-hour battery on board, and then you can get 160 watt-hour auxiliary batteries for right around $400. Now, again, you're probably thinking, what are you talking about, Scott? That's way less battery life. 320 watt hours is significantly less than even 500. But again, I need you to calm down. What did I tell you last time? Here's the deal. With a weaker motor, it is going to pull less power from that battery. So if you have a 500 watt hour battery on a 500 watt motor, that's gonna pull a lot more power than a 240 watt motor coming off of a 320 watt hour battery. eMTB magazine, I've been referencing these guys a lot lately because they've been doing some awesome work. They actually did a side-by-side comparison of a auxiliary battery along with the onboard Turbo Levo SL battery. So for a total of 480 watt hours on the Specialized Turbo Levo SL, and they compared it with a Bosch Performance CX motor Generation 4 on a 625 watt hour battery, and they found the range was about the same. So that gives you an idea. Yes, you are getting a weaker motor, but range isn't going to be affected quite as much as that spec by the numbers might look like. Finally, let's talk about a couple of build differences. The main build difference you're going to want to talk about is the weight difference, I am sure. So you've got 37 pounds, generally speaking, right around there for the Turbo Levo SL models. Meanwhile, the Turbo Levos are going to be anywhere from 47 to 50 pounds. The other big difference in the builds is the chainstays. So as you might expect, the Turbo Levo SL is going to be a bit more agile, coming in with 437 millimeter chainstays. This means it's generally going to be better into jumps, better on single track, better kind of like ripping into berms and stuff like that. Whereas the Turbo Levo comes with 455 millimeter chainstays, making it a better climber. It's going to stay on the ground a little bit better. If you're going up a really steep hill, it's actually going to stay on the ground. The front wheel isn't going to come up from underneath you, which tends to happen on eMTBs quite a bit. So realistically, the chainstays are pretty appropriate for both of these models. But again, we were never here to get caught up in the specs of the motors. You guys can look that up yourselves. So let's take these back out on the trail along with Hector and do a couple of tests. So we're gonna start off with the climbing competition because that is the main point of contention here. The fact that the Turbo Levo SL has that weaker motor. Hector, but is it gonna be that different in practice, do you think?
We'll find out.
That's the only thought you have, so we'll find out. Because my thoughts are, honestly, is that yes, it's gonna be different in the short term, but in the long term, like if you're out for a ride with buddies and stuff like that, is it really gonna make that much of a difference?
I honestly don't think so. I would say the Levo is gonna be really good, mainly for climbing, but that Levo SL is gonna be an all-arounder. You'll be able to do a lot more jumps, a lot more playful all around.
That's, yeah, I do feel like in this short-term test, we're gonna be going probably about a minute uphill. probably the Turbo Levo is gonna crush it. I would say no question. But in that long-term usage, probably there's not gonna be a ton of difference. It's not like if your buddy has a Turbo Levo and you have a Turbo Levo SL, you're gonna be out, unless your buddy's a jerk, I guess.
Right.
But mine's not, mine's great. So first up, we have Hector on the Specialized Turbo Levo SL.
3, 2, 1, go! All right, we'll say why. Woo! Gearing down. Woo!
Hector coming in with a time of 27.4 on the Turbo Levo SL. Let's check out the Turbo Levo.
3, 2, 1, go! You!
Hector coming in hot, almost a full 6 seconds faster than on the Turbo Levo SL. That is a pretty big difference. Now let's see if the results stay the same when I hop on the Turbo Levo SL. On my mark, get my set, go! Ah, throwing that turn in sends things for a loop, that's for sure. But I wanted it in there. I thought it would help the Levo SL. Damn. 26.99 on the Turbo Levo SL. I beat Hector on the SL, but I did not even come close to the time on the Turbo Levo, so let's try it out. On my mark, get my set, go! Oh, that corner kills me. I can just feel how much more powerful this is. There's no question, unless I totally wipe out, that this has got to be the faster bike. I mean, look, Turbo Levo SL, I love you. But that was like a cakewalk in comparison. You can't even, yeah. You got a lot of great qualities, Turbo Levo SL. But this guy just crushes you on the power. Hate to say it, but I gotta. So, pretty much what we would have expected. The Turbo Levo did kind of crush the SL uphill, but again, are you really out there racing people up hills on a daily basis? I'm not, so I don't know that it makes that much of a difference. Yes, the Turbo Levo is significantly stronger, but is that gonna be important and actual usage out on the trails? I guess it depends on what you're looking for. Let's move on to the next test, the HikeABike Hoedown. So contestants of the HikeABike Hoedown, namely me, are gonna have to take the bike, put it up over their shoulders, and do a little hoedown, and then hike up this little section right here to try and get to the top and see which bike they can do it most easily with. Hector, do you think I'm gonna throw out my back?
Absolutely.
Let's find out. Welcome back to the HikeABike Hoedown. Let's see if I can get this here steer up that hill. A 5.6. I don't even know how to approach this, honestly. I feel like Ike and Megan are gonna be mad that I even tried this, but I do it for the channel! Ugh. This is the Turbo Levo HikeABike Hoedown. And this is the hiking portion. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta tell you what. Actually, I can go right here.
Now I dare you to come down.
So I got it done with the Turbo Levo. I'm extremely out of breath. And I gotta tell you, it didn't feel super safe having all that weight over you. All right, bike 2 of 2. We're trying out the Turbo Levo SL. Let's giddy up. Whoops. Literally so much easier. HikeABike Hoedown. I could almost run up this hill, you guys. You don't even realize. It does make a huge difference, that extra 10 pounds. I gotta tell you what, I could probably do this a couple times. And while Hector, jokingly I'm sure, asked me to come down, I do kind of feel like I could come down with this. So if you're walking a lot and lifting the bike a lot, putting it up on racks, taking it upstairs, stuff like that, this guy is hard to beat. Any lightweight e-bike is gonna make a massive difference, because I'm barely out of breath this time. You can hear it. After that Turbo Levo, I damn near had a heart attack. That was the HikeABike Hoedown. Have a nice day, y'all. So our last sort of unofficial test is basically the overall fun factor. So for me, both equally fun bikes, but they offer a lot of different things. Part of the fun for me is getting more of a workout. So I have to admit, I would not mind having the Turbo Levo SL whatsoever.
So I really like the Turbo Levo SL for a lot of more flatland trails. A lot of the trails that we ride out here in Southern California are not necessarily really tough to climb. So
yeah,
it would be a little
totally
overkill with some of the Levos, right? Like I know so many people are out there with the Turbo Levos SL that are never on turbo. And if that's the case, then the Turbo Levo SL on full turbo is more than enough for getting up on some of these trails that we're riding on.
I also want to stress too, like if you think you're going to run through battery too quickly, we talked about it at the top, but eMTB magazine did that test where they put up against 480 watt hours on a Turbo Levo SL, and it lasted about as long as a Bosch Generation 4 CX on a 625 watt hour battery. So I think that's like very telling that, like, yeah, you're gonna get less power, but you're also using less power. It's smaller battery, but because you're using less power, you don't need as much battery. So this could be a pretty solid option.
Right. One of the bigger things that I noticed on the Turbo Levo SL, when we were riding these trails that were more flowy trails and we were going above 20 miles an hour, although they were still uphill, climbing on the Turbo Levo SL, you really didn't feel it. You were pushing through 20 miles an hour. Then when I swapped bikes and moved over to the Turbo Levo, yeah, you felt it. You hit that wall above 20 miles an hour.
Right, I think it's partially the weight, and I think also the way the Mahle or Specialized 1.1 motor is made. The decoupling just feels very, very natural, very good, and like it's way easier to get above 20 miles per hour. I agree. But overall, yeah, I think if you are a person, again, who is willing to do a little bit more work and wants that lighter weight bike, lightweight bikes are here to stay. They're gonna be around, they're gonna just be getting better and better. So the Turbo Levo SL is a completely reasonable option.
Precisely.
Would you agree with that? Yeah, I mean, I think something that really anybody would love, but especially if you're a person who's coming from an acoustic background and you're just trying to get into the eMTB world, they're a great option. Thanks for watching, you guys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Fly Rides Electric Bike channel, and we will see you next time.